Hello, this is Ranjika. I am an IB alumni tutor with IB Tutors. We help students globally achieve better grades. In this video, I will be explaining the 5-step guide to writing perfect essays in the IBDP. Please like this video and subscribe for more IB related videos in the future. The first step to writing the perfect essay in the IB is to choose a focused and specific topic. To get to this point, you need to do some general background research and reading in the subject itself. And once you do these readings, you can read news articles, general overviews of the subject, blog posts, etc., until you find a topic that is of interest to you. Once you get to that point, uh, within that topic, read different academic articles, books, newspapers, news articles, and other people's research to increase your understanding of the topic. Once you're able to see the topic from different people's points of view and different perspectives, you get a very holistic view of the topic, and you can narrow down and make your topic more focused and specific. Because for most essays in the IB, you have a limited word count. So you need to have a very specific topic that fits into the scope of the assignment. So the process of the first step should be narrowing down and getting to that point. And remember to be flexible with your topic. As you continue researching and as you start writing, you may find new information, or you may find another part of the topic that is more interesting to you and even more specific. So don't try to find the perfectly formed topic at the beginning of your writing process, because that's not possible. Just try to find a topic that is focused enough to get you to start your process. The next step is to begin the research. Now, firstly, to do this, you need to understand what research methods you need to employ, because for many subjects, you require primary research. For example, for a group 4 IA, you might need to collect your own data by conducting a laboratory experiment. Or for a group 3 IA, you might need subjects to perform a study on, or you might need to interview subjects and compile that information. So, and for secondary research, you need to look up, read sources, and do a literature review or an analysis of discourses. So you need to figure out what research method is appropriate for your assignment. Once you do that, use all kinds of sources. So for secondary research, IA or EE, you might want to collect all sorts of sources: books, newspaper articles, podcasts, websites. And an important tip would be to keep a track of your sources in a separate document, which is something that a lot of students forget to do. But this will make your life a lot easier and help you make a detailed reference list and do your citations and referencing at the end of the process. And finally, the most important point would be know when to stop researching and start writing. I know this is something I struggled with when I was an IB student, which is to constantly keep researching and keep reading, and you get sucked into the vortex of information and you don't know at what point to stop reading. So a useful way to ask yourself when you need to stop reading and start writing is to ask yourself if you firstly have a brief overview of the topic in question. Number 2, do you have a clearly formed opinion about the topic and a clearly formed main argument? And number 3, have you gained multiple perspectives on the issue? If you have these 3 things done at the end of your research process, it is time to start writing. Now, step 3 is to write a rough draft. So try identifying what you want to be your main argument and start writing the essay. In your introduction, you want to give out the main argument as a thesis statement or as a research question as required by the assignment. And you need to say why it is relevant to discuss this topic, how you have done that in your paper, and what you plan to prove or what you plan to see. So a useful tip would be to rewrite the introduction at the end of the writing process, and once you complete your draft, because then you know all your arguments and your flow of ideas, so you can give an overview of everything that you've done in the essay right at the end. Now, for your body paragraphs, you provide arguments and counter arguments, and this will differ a bit depending on if you're doing a group 3 or group 1 essay, or if you're doing a group 4 or group 5 essay. So for a group 1 or group 3 essay, you will be doing a lot of theoretical discussions and writing long paragraphs and long essays. So for those essays, you want to use the PEEL structure, which is point, evidence, explanation, and link. This is a breakdown of how to use the Peel structure to form your arguments. Firstly, you state your point, which is the main claim that you're trying to make in your paragraph. Then you provide evidence to substantiate that point, so evidence that proves that point. And then you can explain this evidence. So explain how this evidence helps prove and support your point. And finally, link back to your main research question so that the flow of the essay is good. Pause this video and read this example that I found on the internet to understand this better. Finally, you can come to your conclusion. In your conclusion, you should restate your main argument, briefly sum up all the arguments presented, and you can do this by using the conclusion of each body paragraph to rephrase them to write your conclusion. And finally, evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, and limitations of your paper. So this is how I would go about it for a group 1 or group 3 essay. However, for a group 4 or group 5 essay, you will also collect your data and represent it in terms of charts, graphs, and tables. So make sure when you're writing your body paragraphs, you're constantly referencing the trends and the conclusion that you've come to by processing the data in terms of the graph. And make sure that you number each and every graph and each and every table in your chart so that you can talk about it while you're writing your body paragraphs so as to score a higher grade on your essay. And always remember that your first draft is never going to be perfect. So don't focus on perfecting and editing at this point. Just focus on writing, and getting it all out and getting a proper draft ready. Finally, now that you have the hard part is behind you, now that you've written the draft, the hard part is behind you. So you can edit, and edit some more. So reread your draft and if possible, read it out loud to another person and identify errors in your argumentation. Where do the ideas not flow into each other? Which idea makes sense and which idea doesn't? If possible, try making someone who has no prior knowledge of that subject read the essay and see if they understand the basic plot of what you're trying to say. If they can't understand a certain sentence that you've written, then it's not clear enough. Try to make sure that everything is very simple, very clear, and very easy to understand, because that will help your examiner understand what you were trying to write in your essay. And finally, don't forget to do a spelling and grammar check. You can use grammar checking software such as Grammarly for it, and make sure that you eliminate errors as much as possible so that it's perfect. Do edit in multiple rounds, because once you have the draft, it'll go a long point from the first draft to your final draft. And make sure to also incorporate your teacher's feedback and your teacher's comments while you're editing. And finally, the last step, citing and referencing. Ensure that wherever you've referred to someone else's idea through a quote or a paraphrase, or even just brought up a theory or a concept that someone else coined, make sure that the original author of that source is cited and you have a complete reference to it at the end in your bibliography. Make sure that your references are in an alphabetical order. And if you have any diagrams, charts, graphs, tables in your essay, make sure that they are numbered and linked to the required appendices, if applicable. Finally, we come to an end of this process. This was the 5-step guide to writing essays in the IB. Please like and subscribe and comment on this video if you have any further questions or clarifications. Thank you very much.